Well, hi folks, and welcome back to the allotment. My parents have been busy, I tell you that. I'm going to show you what they've been up to today, but fingers crossed, my hay fever is really good at the moment. It's been pretty good the past 2 days, and I'm hoping I can put a good shift in and actually get some work done. Imagine that, me working on my allotment instead of just my parents. So, I tell you what, it's hot already. It's about 9 o'clock. I was hoping to get out earlier, but got sidetracked in the garden, taking care of Jess's flowers and that kind of thing. Yesterday, obviously, away for Steve's funeral. A really, really lovely ceremony. I thought I'd just mention it really. And yeah, a lot of time in the car, a lot of traveling, but I'm so glad that I went. It was really nice to kind of say goodbye to him, not just on my behalf and on behalf of some of the Potty Mouth guys who couldn't be there, but on behalf of all of you. I had lots of comments saying, please, you know, do blah, blah, blah for Steve. And yeah, I think I very much did that. And it was really nice to be able to say to Anne, you know, I'm here today, not just for us, but also for all of you, the viewers. A really nice day, quite touching, and just the enduring thing about Steve is that he's going to live on in people's gardens, isn't he? So it's a bittersweet one. Let me spin you around and we'll have a little look at what's been going on. There's a lot to show you. So this is what I arrived to this morning. It all looks a bit different, doesn't it? And the main reason is because my dad and, well, my parents, I don't know who did what, but my parents ripped up the field beans and they are now composting away quite nicely. I did taste a few of the pods, but honestly, the black fly that were on there were just so much. And one of the things about field beans and legumes is once they start to go to, you know, podding, once they're making their pods, all that nitrogen kind of gets locked up in those pods. So if you're growing them as a green manure or something like that, you really want to kind of get them back into the ground either before they start flowering, or, you know, if you're putting all those pods in the compost, then that's fine because all the nitrogen is locked away inside those pods. But yeah, wow, doesn't it look quite tidy over here? But we do have a few, they're not disasters, but they are minor issues, let's say. And the first is that one of my hoops has collapsed, so that needs a little bit of work. The broad beans are looking good, really starting to fatten up. I think these might be ready for harvest. I'll be down tomorrow, let me know. How do you know when a broad bean is ready? They look like they're just starting, but maybe a little bit skinny. But anyway, yeah, let me know. I do think I'm gonna take this perennial cabbage out because it doesn't taste good. It just doesn't taste nice. Even my parents, okay, and my parents are, you know, they're not going to let stuff go to waste, but even they didn't really like that. Even if you just get the younger leaves, I think it's still a bit much. But the other slight issue that we've got is there was a miscommunication, shall we say, and you've got to blame me for not being clear enough. But I asked my parents to plant out some of the baby brassicas in here, and what they've done, to their credit, they have done an awful lot of work here. But I can see they've basically planted out every brassica from the greenhouse, and the issue with that is that a lot of this, for example, the kale, and there's sprouting broccoli in there, there's probably Brussels sprouts over here. I think these were not meant to go in like this. So the spacing is all wrong, and I've got two choices. I could either dig them out today. One of the issues is I had way too many, so I was only probably going to plant about half of these out, and then this was meant to be for the baby cabbages, which are still in the greenhouse. But what I might do is just take this as a cue to actually build something a bit better, maybe get some timber in and build something just taller, or something, I don't know, for the beds, maybe. I don't know, but this is gonna need some work. And let's have a quick look in the greenhouse because there was another big issue. Oh, look at this. I've just brought up this melon. This is one of my sugar baby melons, and these have been growing like great guns since I repotted them. They've just been living on our conservatory windowsill because I was really paranoid about the nighttime temperatures. You can see this one needs to go vertical. It needs a proper kind of string system. This is a temporary cane. But the problem that we had in the greenhouse, chilies all looking amazing. By the way, they've finally started to put on growth. But something got in here overnight. Something got in and dug up this chili at the back. My dad's repotted it and hopefully it'll come good. I think it's a Trinity. It looks like the label's been lost. Oh no, label is in there. Good, very good. Label's very important, everyone, always remember. But yeah, these are just starting to really put on some good growth now. Look at this, oh, look at this one down here. This is gorgeous. This is one of the chili chump peri-peris, just in a tiny pot. Even the ones in the small pots really starting to put on some good growth, so it's nice in here. Nothing major, but the fact that something is getting in, digging things up, makes me, well, it means really got to go back to shutting this door overnight to keep everything out. And I was kind of planning on going back to that because once things get fruit on, especially tomatoes, melons, that kind of thing, they're an invitation for rodents. They love to come in, and they don't even eat. They do that thing where they just kind of ruin the fruit. You know, they scratch a little bit of every fruit. Very frustrating. So yeah, I'm gonna have to come up and get back on closing the doors. Let's go and have a look at the new plot, because I haven't had a look at there. One other thing I have done this morning is brought up a load more of the manure for mulching, just because I'm running out. I had a comment the other day saying, I don't feed my beds. And I just thought, can you not see that the like 3 to 4 inches of horse manure I've put on everything this year? That is a criticism you could have levelled at me before, but I have really upped the game. I'll tell you what as well. I do wonder sometimes if my neighbours know about my hay fever and maybe they actually hate me. And this is why they've left it to go like this. It's like that on that side. It's like it on this side. Just everywhere I look is like a hay meadow. And obviously I've got this little patch that I'm trying to make here. A few more yellow rattle. Looks like the foxes or something are laying in there. But yeah, over here too, just everywhere you look, grass is as tall as me. Goodness sake. It's not great, is it? But yes, over here there are some very exciting developments. I just tasted one of the first golden strawberries. Actually delicious. Really, really nice. Oh, look at the corn. Oh, I'm so sorry, Tony. But look, that is established. That's taken really well. That has grown significantly just in a few days since my dad put that in. Oh, that is really, really good to see. Celeriac surviving. Oh, look at this. My dad has put in some cucumbers. Oh, bloody hell. Ah, oh, bloody hell. I'm guessing that he's put 3 in here. Where's the third one gone? Ah, oh, bloody hell. I think that's the foxes, isn't it? They're little terrors. I can see my dad's been weeding loads and loads as well. This bed, I might put some courgettes or something in today. I can see they put some more squashes in up here. Look at the size of this thing. It's having a little sulk at the moment. Shall I see what variety this is? Let's have a look. This one is a butter stick, which, is that a squash or that might be a courgette? I'm gonna Google that and find out. So it turns out here we have a butter stick courgette and an uchikiri pumpkin. I'm so glad. I didn't, you know, I've been so slacking with my squashes this year that I didn't even know that I had germinated one of those successfully. I'm really, really pleased. I hope that is an uchikiri, whatever it's called. I'm going Tony with the pronunciation on that. I love that Tony C. Smith, he just makes up. He was talking about the Buna Malata the other day, the pepper. I'm laughing so much. It's one of my favourite things about Tony's video. If he can't pronounce something, he just, Bruno Malata was killing me when he's Bruno Malata, that's my favourite. It actually hurts. Laughing. Oh, right. I don't want to spend too long. Oh, I was going to say, I don't want to spend too long touring. These plum trees are absolutely mad. They are drooping so much. Look at this branch, it's just fully bent over. You know, just all, gone all the way 90 degrees back down to the ground. They are in dire need of some pruning. I'm guessing these actual branches need shortening so that they can hold themselves. I don't know, that's a job to do in the future. Jade, one of my patrons, sent me a good video on plum pruning, so I can look at that later in the season. But yeah, I don't want to spend too long just doing a tour because I'm very conscious of the fact that the last few videos have just been me wandering around with the camera like a bit frantically going, oh, this is new, everything's moving so quick. So let's do something, let's find something to do. No, I should say, right, I've just taken a little moment, put on some sunscreen, and I think this is going to be a really long video. So you know that already because you can see how long the video is. But I think today I'm just going to basically go until I'm really tired or it gets way too hot, which means it's going to be a very long video. I've just realised we haven't even looked in the greenhouse yet, but I was thinking, you know, what should I do? I should prioritise and do the things that need doing the most first. But instead, what I'm going to do is, wow, these are not sharp, a little bit of just tidying around the edges, because there are bits like this all over the plot, you know, bits of overgrown grass going into the path. I'm trying to keep my face out of the grass as much as possible. And just, you know, they're just little things that only take a few seconds, but sometimes it's actually worth doing these, because even though they're not that important, you know, in terms of like things growing, things dying, you know, the crops, it can just really, it feels like such a quick and easy win. And that's good, isn't it? It's nice to have a quick, easy win instead of trying to tackle a job that might take 2 hours. And if you're like me, you'll end up 2 hours later. You haven't actually done the job that you wanted to because nothing went to plan. There is in here absolutely boatloads of kind of, well, there's not that much actually, but there's all sorts of chicken wire and things like that lying around. And what I'd quite like to do at some point this week is, you know, put a bit of effort into actually protecting all the crops, because as you've seen, there's pigeons, there's foxes, there's everything. Everything's getting nibbled, so it's another job for the list. I think one thing I do really want to do is get those tomatoes in the quad grow and just get, oh my gosh, oh. I've just cut a bit of grass and I can just see the pollen exploding out of it. What? Do it at a distance. Oh, toxic, biohazard. I've traditionally kept this as like a little wildflower, not wildflower area, a wildlife area. So there's loads of dead logs and the lizards love it. But this grass might be a bit of a problem. These are looking good though, the teasels. I can't believe I forgot to show you in here. It's just, oh, I can see the basil at the back there needs a water. But basically all of these shells, they need to come out just as soon as possible. So look at this. It's like an actual squash patch. It's turning into a squash patch just in the modules. Tomatoes looking okay. Definitely need to put some time into staking those this week though, because they need support. Physical, not emotional. I can see as well down there, oh my goodness, at the end of my last video, I was really worried because I couldn't find my seed boxes, and it turns out my dad had taken them home because he wanted to do a nice little surprise, and he's done a little successional sowing of all sorts of June crops. I think it's mostly lettuce, but how nice is that? That's like the cutest, sweetest gesture. I absolutely love that. But yeah, this is the kind of main objective really, if I'm being sensible. Getting all this out, getting those tomatoes in the quad grow. It's really warm. It's really warm, folks. Oh, look at this. This is a lovely thing that you don't get to see too often, but there's a couple of sparrows going around in the beds. And one of the things that sparrows love to eat is aphids. So it's a good reason to not always, you know, go crazy with the sprays or the bug sprays, because sometimes if you've got a nice population of local birds, they do just help to keep everything in check. I really am just like wandering around going, what do I do? I could do that, I could do that, oh, I could do this, or I could do that. And I just need to fix something and do it. But I tell you what, quite often when that's the case, I start to get really, you know, a bit stressed out and a bit overwhelmed, but I'm just so bloody happy to be here. I don't care that it's too hot, you know, like it's unpleasantly hot, but I'm just so happy to actually be able to be outside. My throat's a bit itchy, but so far that's the only hay fever symptom. I probably should have bought a mask, and I've got Vaseline around everywhere, you know, on my nose, my eyes and everything, and the sunglasses are staying on today, as you can see, but need to pick something. I suppose, really, I should sort this out. I'm quite impressed that this is broken, to be honest. I don't mean impressed in a good way. I've got these, you know, those green coated canes that you get, and generally they're pretty good, but these ones, just kind of little baby ones. I think I found these on the new plot when I took that on. This is not ideal. I don't love to use bamboo canes. I find that bamboo canes are a bit, well, they make me a bit more nervous than these green canes. Look at that, just completely rusted through. one of the issues I have at the moment is bamboo cane sizes. I went ahead and I don't know, I bought like 20 of these really good size ones because I'm like, you know, I've always got crappy little ones. And what I think I really need is a lot of the smaller or mid-sized ones for staking things like, you know, this is good for a tomato. But for staking something like a chili or doing something like this, you need those kind of in-between sizes. And you know, earlier when I was saying like, sometimes it's nice to do little quick wins because, you know, you start a bigger job and you think it'll take 5 minutes and then I haven't got anything to put these blue canes in, to put the blue pipe. I haven't got any canes to put the blue pipe on. So I guess for now we'll just put that back. Come to this another day. Oh, that's so annoying. Maybe I can find something, I don't know. It's okay folks, panic over. I found some. I know you were all very worried. Yeah, just some little bamboo canes. I still would like a brassica cage at some point. I see a lot, you know, brassica cages are really divisive because a lot of people say, no, you've got to rotate your brassicas, you'll get club root. But there's plenty of people on YouTube and Instagram and wherever, there's plenty of people, full stop, who've successfully built brassica cages and been growing brassicas in them for years and years. Oh, I hate faffing around with netting with a burning passion. I can't get through doing anything with netting without complaining about it. It's like the one thing drives me crazy. Little pea break. Some of the peas just perfect for eating now. Oh, look at this one. There's nothing quite like fresh peas on the allotment, I think, as a little snack. Ever so slightly past their best, but still good. Haven't got that super sweet flavour. Okay, squashes. There is just, I have to talk about this because I absolutely cannot get over this, right? So I've got here a selection of squash. I've got some spaghetti and some honey nut squashes here. And these are in fairly, you know, big pots, just random sized things that I had lying around. And these were planted, I think, not crazy early, but slightly on the early side. So they've gone through a kind of that inclement period with a lot of the cold nights. And then about 2 or 3 weeks later, maybe I can find the sowing times. If so, I'll put them on screen. If not, sorry. But I did a successional sowing, well, my proper squash sowing a little bit later. And what the hell? And not only, these are in the same compost as the other ones, they're just in smaller cells. So these are in the container-wise, what have we got, 3 by 5, big chunky cells. But I cannot believe this. I absolutely cannot believe it. And there's so much growth here, I cannot see the labels for the life of me. But Marina di Chioggia, an acorn squash, a pick and mix, that's a courgette. So there's a selection of kind of squashes and courgettes in here. I wonder, is there the same varieties? Have we got the honey nut? I don't know. But I'm gonna scout around, find a few places for some of these now. Because I cannot believe how healthy these look as well. It's amazing, in just relatively small little cells. I think it does make sense to continue using these failed no-dig onion beds as the squash beds for the rest of the season. I will give you a little update on the third plot, my aunt and uncle's. Why not? Might as well, seeing as we're doing a bumper episode today. And because there was a bit of a mishap on there as well, actually, which is quite amusing. I'm still trying to, so what I do with this is I try and keep the soil kind of underneath. So I keep the mulch on top, and then generally I'll have a container of some kind that I'll put the soil in. I can see where my parents have done it. There's now soil on top, which introduces weeds. And it's good if you can to just put the soil in a receptacle and put that somewhere else. You can reuse it. Just, you know, you want to keep the top kind of nice and mulched and weed free. A little bit of feed in with these. I like to mix it up a little bit so it's not all straight on the roots. And what I'm going to do with some of these trailing varieties is a cool technique that I saw from Steve, where he kind of puts a series of canes around and then you wrap the plant around in a spiral. Instead of just letting it go off in one direction, if you wrap it around in a spiral, you get as much growth, but just a lot more contained, which I thought was a really cool little tip. And I mean, it was another one of Steve's tips, wasn't it? About making sure that you don't plant things too early. What's the rush? And it's like he put all the energy into these squashes just to teach me that lesson, teach me it properly. What is this one? Oh my goodness, these are monsters. This is interesting. So I was just comparing those two trays, and what did we have? Spaghetti squash and honey nut. And actually, this one is my honey nuts. If you think that sounds a bit... Oh, please excuse me. These ones are the honey nut squashes, and actually you can see maybe they're just exceptionally slow growing. I might separate these and pot them up or something, although maybe I should just stick them in the ground. Potting them up at this point in time, probably not the best thing to do, but that is interesting. That is very interesting. Now this one, on the other hand, this is a butternut, and oh, I remember this was self-sown seed, self-saved seed. So I've actually got there's 6 here. So I'm just gonna kind of pick the best one. Maybe I'll pick the best 2 and put 2 in just in case one of them dies. But I put so many seeds in here because I wasn't certain that they would germinate, considering that they just, came out of a butternut squash that I grew. I think it was one that I grew myself, yeah. I'll put those 2 in there, butternut. Tell you something that's crazy about squashes is just how quickly, and courgettes, cucurbits, how quickly they react to a change in the environment. I can see that all of these are sulking already, just in the little bit of time that they've come out of the greenhouse. They maybe need a drink. But yeah, I've just made up a quick potting mix. A little bit of manure, a little bit of kind of homemade compost, just something light. This is about texture, as opposed to feeding, really. Just want to make sure that their roots can get into this. This is a historically terrible bed, so I'm hoping the onions are just not well suited to this and they've not got away. But squash, they're strong. I'm hoping they're going to be able to kind of brute force their way into this bed and actually do something, and I'm not just kind of dooming them. I am going to kind of make sure that not all my eggs are in one basket, so I'm not going to sow all of one variety in this bed. I'm going to scatter it about a bit, but I'm going to spend some time on the squashes and I'll show you what I've done. Okay, so sometime later I am melting. I feel like I'm slowly losing my sanity, definitely my ability to talk and make a video. It's only about, I think it's coming up to 11 o'clock. Oh my goodness, it is roasting. But I've got an idea of what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the day. I want to do a few more squashes. I'm going to show you the squashes I've done, plant some more squashes on the 3rd plot. Can you see my brain's going? I'm going to water a lot of the beds really heavily, give them a proper drenching, then mulch them. There's a few beds that don't actually have mulch at the moment. And then there was a 3rd thing that I wanted to do, tomatoes in the quad grow. It's quite ambitious. That's ambitious. We're gonna see if I can do it though. Let me show you the squashes. The hay fever is, get a really itchy throat. It's strange. Oh, I've just realised as well, I forgot. So we've had a major mishap with the squash labelling. Once again, no one's fault but my own, but I had a bit of a system with the labelling, which means actually now we've got a lot of mystery squashes, but it keeps it interesting, doesn't it? So we've got those 2 in the bed there. And then over here, I've used this weird bit of space that was kind of like a half path, half just cardboard wasteland. So we've got the onions in there, and then I put a squash in here and a squash in there. The idea being that one will trail this way, the other will trail that way. Hopefully they won't argue too much. There's lots of kind of space around. I'm not particularly hopeful about these onions. So hopefully they'll have enough space. And I think these 2 have got labels. Yep, this one's an acorn, and the one at the back just says spag, which is spaghetti squash. And yeah, that's one of the ones that definitely a bit slower growing, I think. And then I've gone rogue again with another little bit of plot that I'm just using up. The squashes are quite good for this because they're strong growers. I'm hoping I can just plonk them in anywhere, like a little bit of disused ground. I've dug it quite deep, given it a nice little, I've got like a little planting, like a whole bucket there with a nice little mixture of compost, manure and some soil too. I like to put a bit of soil in when I'm planting, just to, so they don't it kind of gets them used to it, I guess. But that one is a mystery squash, absolutely no idea. And let me explain what I mean about the labeling. This is a little system I use, and it makes perfect sense if you're the only person who's ever going to touch your plants. But basically, I just kind of go from left and down when I'm labeling. So if I've got two of the same variety, I'll just do one label. So here I've got pick and pick, so I know that's just for that. Then I've got all green bush here. No germination on the all green bush courgette, but that's fine. Although that does mean I don't think I've got a traditional courgette. And then this one at the top would have had a label, and that would have been all three of these. But I think my parents planted the one at the top, and I'd taken loads more out by the time I realised. So I don't know what these are. These three were the same. I did three of one variety with just one label, and you can see how it can quickly kind of fall apart. So not really sure, but we're gonna have some mystery squashes, and that'll be great. I think I've kind of run out of space for squashes on this plot now. So let's go over to the third plot and have a look there. Oh, before we go, I did forget to mention this one actually. In the squash, in the sweet corn, see my brain, the words just don't work when it's this hot. So in amongst the sweet corn, I've done a squash planting there, and that is the honey nut, and there's actually two in there. They're quite small plants, so that's why I've left a couple in there, but hopefully one of them will take off, and then we can kind of sadly cull off the rest. But you know, this is kind of the two sisters, as it were. The squash should grow, give a nice kind of ground cover, prevent the transpiration, but this is the one that I'm really soaking, and then I'm going to get a nice mulch on here because it's currently weed free, and if I can get the mulch on now, that should help lock in all this moisture and keep the weeds down. So the third plot, I've just moved everything over. Even just walking to here in my plot a couple of times is exhausting. Goodness me. But third plot, actually, I think looking pretty good. Really, really pleased to see the potatoes coming up here. That's nice. That is really nice. The unfortunate thing is that I planted in a pumpkin over here, and this was actually kindly left to me by a plot neighbour, and look, it's looking a bit sad, isn't it? What do you think? What do you think could have caused that? Well, I'll tell you folks. The black matting flopped over, and I think my parents have been coming and doing a little bit on here, and obviously they would have just thought that the matting was meant to be like that. So that pumpkin somehow has survived, because I mean, it must have been like it for at least kind of 3 or 4 days, I think. So I'm gonna have to weigh down this matting properly. But yeah, we've got all of those squash plants there, and there's one just on the right there, the Marina di Chioggia. That's in a pot. It's not looking as good as the ones in the modules, but I'm going to give that pride of place, and there's plenty and plenty of space kind of in these big beds. I think I might even be able to get 3 or 4 in these. This one should be quite nice and easy, and once again I'm going to do the same thing. Just get a bit of cardboard down. A lot of the weed growth will have, well, not weed growth, but a lot of the plant growth will have died down just from having this matting on it. So hopefully this will work. It's so hot. It's so hot. I'm melting. I'm on the last squash. And, well, oh, jeez Louise. I thought it was the last squash, but I've just noticed one of them has just germinated. No word of a lie. This all green bush courgette, which I must have sowed like weeks and weeks ago, has literally just germinated. These ones are the pick and pick courgettes going in. Remember to actually put your mixture in first, JB. It's coming up to 1 o'clock. I was planning to be here until about 10:30 or 11, but there's just so much to do, and I'm just having such a good time despite the evident exhaustion. Oh, I'm losing my mind. In with the mix, in with a pinch of feed, mix it in, and plonk it in. And we'd like to have a bit of a mound for squash. I think I'm remembering that correctly, so I don't put it in too deep. Lovely. And now, oh, let me show you this all green bush. Look at that little thing, just poking through the surface. I saw it and thought, is that? Surely not, but I think it is. I think that's a little baby courgette. So I don't have it in me to bin that, even though, I mean, I probably should, shouldn't I? Let me show you what I've done. Oh God. You can probably hear the hay fever is starting to set in as well. It's starting to sound a bit gross. Oh, we've got 2 more in there, hurrah. I need to make sure that black plastic matting is secure so we don't have a repeat of Pumpkin Gate. And then over here, I've just got 3 in. This one is the Marina di Chioggia, a mystery one up the top. So I don't know how big the mystery ones are gonna get or where they're gonna go or anything, but these have all got loads of room to go out to the left here. And then in the middle, I've got a really sad looking butterbush. Now this was really not that well established. It kind of fell apart as I took it out of the module, but I've planted it in with lots of nice kind of potting mix. So it might yet establish itself. And they all just look, they're such wimps. They just sulk immediately. They immediately start looking really wilty and sad, but I am gonna give them a really good watering. And then we've got the 2, oh, I'm falling over stuff. And then we've got the 2 over here. Hopefully that pumpkin recovers. I've not put anything in the middle because pumpkins can get absolutely huge. And then there's 2 more mystery ones, which could be big, could be small, could be courgettes, could be squashes. Oh, I don't know. Let's give it all a really good water. And then I think it's pretty unlikely I'm gonna get that other stuff done. I knew it was ambitious when I said it, but I thought I'd at least get one. I can't even remember what the jobs were. My brain is just melted, turned to mush. What was it? The quad grows and something, oh, the mulch. Oh, I should do the mulch before I go because I just watered. Okay, we'll water this first and then I'll mulch. The quad grows can wait until tomorrow. It's official, folks. Operation Squash is complete. We've got all of the squashes and the courgettes planted out. I'm very pleased. That is a job that's been weighing on me for like 2 or 3 weeks, honestly. So I'll give you a quick overview. And although Operation Squash is complete, Operation Mulch is yet to come. People might wonder, you know, what's the point in the cardboard? You know, like, you've killed the weeds off, why not just dig it in? And yeah, I kind of asked myself the same question halfway through doing it, but I know that this is just going to explode with weeds again, and I want this to be low maintenance. I don't want to be in here weeding, or I don't really want to water. This is all extra on top of the 2 plots that we've already got to look after. I'm saying we now because my parents are thoroughly involved. But yeah, I want to just, you know, this is fire and forget. The only thing I want to do over here is come and pick food. I want this to be like a little squash store. You know, you just come and get your squash. Everyone, come on down, come and get all of your squashes. There's gonna be so many. So I've just got this cardboard to mulch just to stop the initial weed growth that will compete with the squash. They're strong plants, they might not need it, but it will help to retain moisture as well. It is a bit of a double-edged sword because the moisture will kind of run away, but we've got some rain coming, so hopefully that will saturate the beds a little bit. And yeah, that cardboard mulch will just keep it nice and moist around the plants. You can see I've put out all of the black plastic matting over the remaining bits. And one thing, if you do this method, I'm not saying you should, this is by no means a how-to. As always with a Naturally JV video, this is just how I'm naturally doing it, how I'm fumbling between job to job. But do make sure your cardboard is weighed down with something. You can see I've got clods of, I've been reusing the clods of grass that I've picked up. This one's got wood on it, but if the cardboard dries out and it gets windy, it might, you know, blow away and it might well take your plants with it. So yeah, do just keep that in mind. I've got all of the cardboard nicely weighed down. Operation Mulch, let's go. Before I actually start mulching, I just have to show you this. And I wanted to show you this as an example, really, of why I'm now team mulch and why I think this horse manure that I got is just so good. Look at this. Are you ready? This might be one of the best things I've ever grown. Look at this absolute beast. I'm sorry, but can we take a moment? Oh my goodness. Look at this, look at that. This is a Saladin iceberg lettuce and wow. You know, I think even, I'm taking it early. I think this would get bigger because this will turn into a full iceberg heading lettuce, but there's a couple that are just a bit too densely planted. But I mean, this is still fine to eat. Look at this. God. You know, I've had like mixed success. Normally I get a couple of good lettuce plants throughout the season. I get lots of slugs, but this year, getting them in at the right time with all of that mulch just in that bed, that's been like the perfect bed so far. So that's why we mulch. Oh, just look at that. Look at that. It's so good. Prize winning. Maybe not. I could do that thing that people do where they hold it really close and make it look massive. Oh my God, look at that. It's the size of a human being. Oh dear me. I should say as well, a little tip if you're new to growing veg, always wait until just before you leave to harvest your veg. Don't harvest anything when you arrive and then leave it sat in the sun all day while you're waiting. Always make sure it's quite well watered as well with something like this. It means it's not kind of dried out or bitter. Oh, this is just, I'll be smiling for days. I'm done. This is it for the season. If this is all I've grown. Yes. Oh. Finished doing that and I didn't realise how tired I was getting until I stopped. And I immediately ran to the shade of the trees. I do love these trees for the shade, if not the apples. I'd keep them even if they didn't give me any apples. But I was just thinking, you know, mulching, that'll take 2 seconds, that's super easy. Those bags of mulch did not want to play ball, super heavy and really compressed. So there's no room in the sweet corn either. So I was fart-arsing around trying to get it in the right place, nearly broke all the sweet corn multiple times. What a day. I'm just so, you can just hear it hopefully in my voice throughout this whole day. It's like all the energy that's been pent up over the last few days with me not being able to get to the allotment. It's just all come out today. Normally I would have left hours ago because it is just so hot. It's so hot. I'm not joking. I've been like dunking my t-shirt in the water butt, and it just dries out. It's just absolutely boiling. But I really hope you've enjoyed today's video. An extra special thank you to my Chili Pepper tier patrons, Tony, Bill, Pam, Louise, Michael, Mel, Denise, Socks, and Craig. Yeah, get a little dance going and then I can get it. Whatever helps. Oh, my face hurts from smiling, honestly. What a day. I'm so glad to be back, and the hay fever's, it's there, but I can come up to the plot. I'm not dying or anything. I mean, crouch in the grass right now because I'd rather this than the heat of the sun. But wow, this might be a record for the longest video. I really don't know, but thank you ever so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again in the next one. I can't talk. Where will we finally sorting out those tomatoes? Maybe. Maybe, I don't know. Oh dear me.